We're gonna give you the only football program that you'll ever need for strength training, and we're gonna start right now. Now, this is a program that we've used to develop athletes like Nick Singleton, Jan Johnson, Brandon George, who just signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, and even all-conference D2 linebacker Eden Johnson. So when we're doing this workout, I'm gonna walk through specific splits that you can use if you're in high school and that you can use if you're more elite, if you're at that collegiate level. We're gonna then talk about how to identify when you should be working with different splits, okay, depending on what time of year it is. And this is even going to be a workout. Okay, so we're gonna put Eden through a workout, and this is a pre-season workout. So inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength, we can actually designate pre-season, in-season, post-season training, and that's what we're gonna be doing here. We're gonna go into that pre-season split to help you become a freak football player. Now, Eden's going through his warm-up. He's gonna be doing the PVC pipe walks. Then he's gonna be doing kneeling, thoracic extensions. He's then gonna get into some split lunges, like split squats just in place. And then also, Eden, if you can, I didn't tell you this off camera, but get into some duck walks as well as part of the warm-up before we get into the actual leg workout. Now, when we think about splits, inside of our training system, we like to use periodization and specific splits based off of the level of the individual. So we use assessments, okay, specific to sports. In this case, we're talking about football. So we'll use assessments like single leg squat, bench press, clean, vertical jump, broad jump, 40. These are some really, really big key assessments that we use. Once we take those assessments, we look at athletes and we say, okay, are they a level 1, a level 2, level 3, level 4? Level 3, level 4 would be at the college level or professional level. That's where Eden is right now. If they're a level 1 or level 2, they're in middle school or in high school. Okay, and depending upon those assessments, that's how we build out the program. So when we do a high school-based system, okay, our high schoolers will come in and they're gonna do more leg strength stuff on day 1. Okay, on day 2, they're gonna do more upper body-based work. Day 3 is gonna be more of like an athlete day. Day 4, impulse day. Day 5, hypertrophy day. That's actually exactly how Eden was trained in high school when we were developing Nick Singleton, when we were developing him, when we were working with Brandon, developing Cooper Lutz, other Division I guys. Once they get to that level 3, the collegiate level, this is where things get a little bit different with the split. So one of the things that I've learned over the years in discussing this with Chuck Losey, who's this head strength coach at Penn State, even talking with Coach Andrew Nelson, who's also the sports performance guy at Penn State, is we like to set up our more advanced guys with more speed work. So now the way the week is set up for someone like Eden is Eden's split will be day 1, he's doing a clean, and then we're getting into some upper body work. Day 2, we're doing max velocity work. Day 3, now we're doing some form of jumps. Day 4, that's when we're doing acceleration work. And on almost all these days, we will be cleaning almost every single day. Day 5, big, heavy strength day, like a big squat day, okay? So that's how that week is laid out. There's gonna be days off in between. Some athletes might do 2 days like training on a Sunday and then come in. But the difference here is that all of the periodization is based off the level, okay? And the level is determined by the assessments. That's stuff that we're covering in our new book that's gonna be coming out at the end of the year. The second link in the description down below is to join that book waitlist. The first link is to get into Peak Strength. Now, let's get into this first lift in this leg strength workout that Eden's gonna be hitting. First exercise that we're gonna get into, and Eden's probably rolling his eyes because if he's not doing a 1-box clean, he's almost always doing a 2-box clean. Sometimes he'll go from the floor. So he's gonna hit this for a triple as part of his warm-up, and then we're gonna get into the first working set. So hit this for 3. I'm gonna let Eden do 2 powers and 1 full. Currently in the program, we've got just a full clean. Actually, there we go. I'll just change this right there. Perfect. Good. Now in peak strength, it'll say from the floor. I'm gonna give him the break. We're gonna go off of 1 box. Good. Okay, so the big thing here is that what we like to do and what we've found, put the greens on, Eden. What we've found to have a huge correlation is that we'll clean on Monday, okay, day 1, so for him right now, he'll clean before he benches. Okay, we'll do cleans before we jump, more speed work, so we'll go off of 2 boxes. Impulse has to be higher because it's a shorter range of motion. And then we'll clean before acceleration as well. I have allowed them to not have a clean on their leg day, even though today is their leg strength day. Now, high school kids, we will clean also 3 days a week. The correlation that we see is that the more the clean goes up, especially to around 130 to 150 kilos, the more that clean goes up, the more we see, the front squat will go up, and the more we see the front squat at 1.8 times body weight, that's when we start to see 34 to 38 inch verts, even on the heavier guys, because it's a relative number. So we see that, we see the broad jump goes up big, and we also then know that typically with a big clean, the first step of a 40 is gonna be dialed in, and the 10 yard is gonna be dialed in. It's gonna be that's also gonna have a good correlation to their acceleration in the 40 as well, which also carries over to the field. Okay, so we see that when we focus on this first 1, 2, 3 steps, cleans have a big factor there. So we like to think through what can improve, the box that they're playing in out on the field, what can improve those assessments, and then we can sort of work backwards and troubleshoot where some problem issues might come up. So Eden, give me 1 power, 1 full here. And when Eden was in high school, we would clean, dude, we might have cleaned every single session.
Yeah, when I first got here, for sure.
Good. Good. Then take the green off, put on a big yellow. Now, the one thing with Eden came, I think you were going into 10th grade, if I remember. Okay, going into junior year. The main goal is we look at everything like a race. How quickly can we get a kid to first a 225 clean? Then how quickly can we get them to around a 125 clean, which is 275? And then how quickly can we get them to 300 plus? And obviously, if we have somebody who's a bigger guy, we want them to 300 plus as fast as possible. So we clean constantly because we see such a great correlation between it. That's why we have such good lifts. You see Nick back in high school, Nick cleaned 160 kilos, which is 352. We saw Javen Williams could clean 145 kilos. He was a 5-star as well. That's 320. Brandon George could clean 345. Cooper Lutz could clean 340. These are guys that were Power 5 guys. Brandon just signed with the Chiefs. So it's a race. It's really a race. So right now we got a good group of 8th graders that are going into 8th grade, and those kids are all right around 100 kilo clean. So if by the end of 8th grade we can get them closer to 250, 260, that'd be ideal. George Parkinson just got an offer from Ohio State. He can clean 140 kilos, and he weighs about 105 kilos. So he's a 230-pound guy that can clean over 300 pounds. He's 15. And the big factor with him is we know acceleration is really where he struggles right now because he's bigger and he's younger. But his top end speed is really good. So the race is to get him to a 405 squat for 5 to 10 reps, and then that clean to keep growing to 350 plus. So that's sort of how we look at the clean and then the next lift. So we'll go 1 power, 1 full here. Good. Good. Okay, so we got another set here. The one thing I want to point out too, Eden's technique is solid, right? He's not a weightlifter technique-wise, but he has good movement. And I think that's a big factor. A lot of people will be hesitant with cleans. They're like, oh, well, the technique. You just got to be proficient, okay? And if you're proficient, it's going to carry over. It's going to transfer really well. And I think that if you learn how to move heavy weight fast, now you learn how to coordinate faster. So your neural firing happens at a higher speed. You recruit better, okay? So you become more coordinated, and then it carries over to the other lifts, to other movements as well. If he's able to engage and move, it's early in the morning right now, he's a little fatigued. He's able to move 220 fast, right? And we can build this up consistently over time. Now, when he gets on the field, he knows he doesn't care about what the O lineman looks like in front of him if he's blitzing. He doesn't care what the running back looks like if he's in coverage, because he knows he can have that speed. He has good vision on the field, right? So the skilled part is taken care of out on the field with his skill coaches. The strength and the physiological aspect has to be taken care of here. That's where the speed work, that's where the jumps, and that's where the big lifts come into play. We're going on a 2-minute rest, so we have a rest timer inside peak strength. And now Right here you can see this is how like the set should feel. The rest timer just expired because I was rambling too much, but we go here and then we can log this set and then we go here again. So we'll start to go up if he crushes this. We won't go up too heavy because he is, it's probably 7 or 8 weeks out from the season. So let's do this again, Eden. Good. Good. Okay. Put on a little red. Now, one other thing that I love is when we get closer to in season. So this is preseason training. Okay. Inside Peak Strength. First link in the description. You're a football player. You're an athlete. Click on that. Go over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. Download Peak Strength. Start in your specific sport. Start building towards becoming an absolute freaking savage. One of the things that I love here is that on the first 3 sets is 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes rest, 2 minutes rest. You start to feel good. You start to feel twitchy. Well, now the last 4 sets, they're on the minute. And what that means is that you're decreasing that rest period and you're gonna get into a more timing-based feel. And especially in preseason training, okay, we want him, it's not, right now is not about like this max strength that we want. We should have done that back from January all the way up till about the end of May, middle of May. You know, now we're in the early starting periods of June. So the main focus now is his repetitive work. Okay, this is one thing, Chuck Losey has brought this up to me. He's like, the guys that we get from Penn State that come from garage strength, he always is like, they're durable. They can have high level of repetitive output. Okay, so you don't want a one-off that then collapses in a game. You want someone who can just continuously put out a large amount of force for 4 quarters. And so when we do the on the minute work, it's resembling what you're gonna have inside of a game where it's like, okay, we have, you know, let's say 4 to 7 seconds of a burst, then you're gonna have about a minute recovery and then you gotta do that again, you know, and then you'll get off the field and you'll have a longer recovery period after that. So that's where this on the minute stuff does come in to actually play. So Eden's gonna hit this. This is our last set here. This will be this is 105 kilos. So in peak strength, I have it set to pounds, 230, but you can also set it to metric. He's hitting 231, just overachieving a little bit. Come on now. Good. Good. Okay, so we'll put the boxes back. We're gonna go to the next exercise. Now, the next movement, and I just showed you here inside Peak Strength, we had front squats. Currently in his system that we're doing this summer in our program, our custom program, is that he's doing single leg squats on Fridays. So we're gonna actually replace it, which is a really cool feature in Peak Strength, is you can replace it with another exercise that's similar. So we have in here, if you get front squat, right? You can actually go in and be like, all right, well, I want to see what other exercises Dane thinks are comparable to a front squat. I went in, I replaced it with unbroken single leg squats. So we're going to do unbroken single leg squats next. We're going to set that up using the garage strength single leg roller. And then we're going to put the boxes back and we're going to be able to start to really target that posterior chain to work through this leg strength workout. You guys could be doing this right now, okay? You don't even need to have peak strength. You could literally just be writing down the workout. You could be at the gym, watching it on TV, take notes the whole way through, okay? Write down the workout, go to the gym later, even if you're watching it on TV right now, and then that's gonna be what you execute as that leg strength day. And if you're in high school, make sure that's day 1 for the week. Eden's gonna hit this first one. He's gotta go unbroken, so boom, 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 fast. When we say unbroken, we want to see good control. Good. Okay, we want to see good speed from the pad, drive up, and good hip flexion. You can see here his chest is slightly forward. He's holding a good position there. Good reactive ability. Honestly, the unbroken single leg squat is really, really good for just firing the crap out of the glutes and the hamstrings. Now, that was an easy set. Okay, so we're actually just doing this by itself. I'm gonna put on 185. So let's get a green on there, which is actually 198. But dude, some of the things in here are so fun for me to play around with, just because it's weird to think that this is like something that I've always wanted. I feel like a child in the sense that I always wanted something like this, like a strength training app that was my brain that I could just use and have weird attributes that I would want because I'm still a child. And now that it's in here, it's pretty neat. Good. Eat it. Good. Now, one thing, I'll even bring this up. There's two aspects, okay? One, when Eden would be in season, I would say that this is a movement that he could hit literally just staying right around 200 pounds and he'll feel good. He'll get good stimulation to the fibers and it won't cause a ton of fatigue. It will help transfer over to speed work. Now, the reason being that I believe it transfers so well to speed work is because we have a more stable hip. If you see when he was doing like his little hiccup thing there, putting the back foot up. One, it's earlier in the morning, so he's got to wake up his nervous system. Two, he had a little bit of a hiccup on the first rep. He sort of hops out just a hair, okay? Those are lessons of basically his body's learning the best position to be in relative to the pad when he's hitting that. Also, use the single leg roller. This is available at garagestrength.com. You got a pad right there. We beat the hell out of these, like literally every single day. Probably 85% of sessions we're using these with 2 to 3 athletes, which is why this one's just destroyed, beat to hell, and this is probably 2+ years old. You've heard or watched some of our speed stuff. We've talked about Dr. Ken Clark. He focuses a lot on the hip and max speed. And one of the things with Eden as a football player, his slowest part of his sprints is actually the back half of his 40. So we need to increase his max velocity. We need to raise his max velocity, okay? And when that max speed is improved, in turn, his acceleration will improve. How does this relate to Dr. Ken Clark? Is that a lot of that is related to the hip, okay? How the hip is stable, and the more stable the hip becomes, the more stable the trunk becomes, the more force you'll put into the ground without losing, without having noise, okay? Without losing or dissipating that energy. So that's where a lot of this stuff comes into play. You learn how to fire the glutes, and that's gonna transfer over to some pretty good speed. Let's go put on little reds. We'll do 2 more sets here, okay? And then we're gonna get into the next part of the workout. So I wanna see how these 2 sets roll. This one, again, when it's unbroken, it's all about moving that weight fast and just getting good rhythm, good timing. That's a plug right there. The app will do everything for you. All you have to do is show up and do the work. That's it. Yeah, Eden's thinking about what I just said in the video. He's like, I'm not gonna do that this time. Yo, that's funny. Good. Come on now, come on. Good. Was getting ever so slightly off balance on that left leg. Let's go one more with the big yellow one. Now, we got the rest timer in here. The rest timer on something like single leg squats is gonna be a little longer typically, and the reason being is when we do unilateral work, so we're going, let's say right leg, then we go left leg, you're under tension longer just based off the fact that you are doing 2 legs, meaning 1 leg at a time. Now that tension over a longer period of time requires your body to recover a little bit more because we want to focus on good quality of movement. So in this case, we got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds that we use for the rest timer inside peak strength. So it's sort of just telling you, and that's exactly what Eden was just saying. Literally everything in peak strength, it does it for you. You just have to show up and actually do the work, and you've got to do that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and that's when you become an absolute freaking dog. So a recommended strength standard for football players, okay, the big carryover that we see of the single leg squat is, one, vertical is very high. So in our last testing of football guys, if they single leg squat over 300 pounds, and in most cases, this was around 1.4 to 1.5 times body weight, okay? It was 92% of the time they had a 30.5-inch vertical. So meaning if you could get over 300 pounds, you should have a 30+ inch vertical. Like that's just gonna happen. Okay, so in Eden's case, Eden probably weighs, I don't know, let's say he weighs 190 to 200, somewhere in that realm right now. If he hits a 140 for a set of 4 reps, he's probably gonna have a 30+ inch vertical just based off of those numbers, which is, I think he would probably smash like if we pushed him really heavy, he'd probably get up to like a 330 for a triple on single leg squat. So that's where we see the carryover there. We also will see the carryover with the 10 and the 20. Okay, so the 10 and the 20 also we'll see with that first step, and we'll see with the first with your acceleration. Again, it goes back to the ability to create a lot of stability in the hip and to put a lot of force into the ground. 4 good ones, let's go. Come on, good. Come on, up. Good. Okay, so Eden's got a set of 7 on each at 100 kilos. Okay, and the one thing with this is Eden's played in the D2 semifinals at Mines. He plays for one of the best D2 football teams in the entire country, Kutztown. Last year they had a bye the first round of the playoffs. He's all conference. He's an absolute monster. And if you think about, come on, good. Putting weight on your back, squatting on one freaking leg, good speed. The hard part here is it's a lot mental, right? And a lot of the physical development, come on, good, is mental. But when you're someone like Eden who is playing, red shirt as a freshman, getting lots of playing time last year, dominating as a sophomore, now going in, when you were used to doing like a single leg squat, I'm not saying that this is why he's so good, but it helps. It's just an added edge. And if you can find every little thing that will give you an edge, that will give you an advantage, and those advantages create opportunity out on the field, that's the big factor here. Okay, so that's why every single thing, and doing a set of 7 is brutal. It's brutal, it's hard. You sit there and you're like going into it like, this is gonna be really freaking hard for me to do. But every single day when you have that thought slowly goes away, and now you're not on the field going, this dude's gonna rock me. Instead, you're gonna f dude up. There's gonna be a lot of bleeps in this one. Okay, so he's hitting 9 here, basically like a stiff leg. Trying to lengthen the crap out of his hammies, okay, and lower back. Some decent weight, nothing crazy. This is gonna help him. Then we're pairing this with Nordics, so he'll rest about 30 seconds. When we do the Nordics, he's only got 4 reps, so I want him to be pretty quality, trying to minimize the hip flexion. Now, it is challenging. It is a hard lift. It is a hard movement, so Eden better do it as well as he possibly can, or he'll get made fun of. Yeah. So this is also an exercise that, like, if you've got somebody, and even if you want to do the first 2 or 3 going just down slow and then assist on the way back up, I think that's a fine way to make good progression, is like good eccentric, and then you can cheat on the way back up. And then once, maybe by the last one, he hits it with a full Nordic. So give me 4 reps. Hopefully his calves don't cramp. So you see there too, like the hips came back. So the goal would be by his second, third set, we can minimize and think like his shoulders here are what are leading him back up. And that's where it's really freaking hard, because that's tied into the lower back and the glutes and the hamstrings. And hamstrings, glutes are responsible for hip extension. Now, when a lot of people, that was 4, that's good. If we can think about sprinting, right? The more you extend here, if you can't extend, you're not gonna be fast. And that's the thing, a lot of people, there's a lot of research on Nordics and around the health of the biceps femoris, right? And they'll say, well, it's just for knee flexion, it's just for knee flexion. But if we are holding and we're able to keep that extended more, that will transfer to high speed sprinting. Okay, so it isn't just about knee flexion with the Nordic. And when we're pairing these together, he's coming back up, he's extending. So we want to think about that and how all the lifts in the gym will carry over to what he's doing when he's projecting in a period of acceleration. Think about him out on the football field. He has to project really well from the hip to be able to accelerate quickly. So that's where all of these things sort of piece together when we're thinking through and building out that program for the entire year and for the entire session, really. we want to think through the big lifts that carry over. Okay, so we sort of look at the assessments as we've got our assessments that carry over to the best, over to the field. Okay, so we know certain lifts, certain speed exercises, they're either used in football testing or they're used in football testing because they have a good carryover. There's really two reasons there. So we want to train semi towards those tests, more so towards the field. But then the next thing is we mine down a little bit deeper and we say, okay, what accessories can we use to build the main lifts? So then we want to think through, okay, we use these accessories to build the main lifts or to build the main movements. The movements could be a vertical or a shuttle or a 10. And then the next step when we're laying out programming, especially at the elite level with someone like Eden is, okay, does he need this to push one of those other key metrics, one of those key assessments, or does he need this for himself? Because he might have issues in his own movement pattern based off of his own quality, off of his own movement quality, off of his own genetics or maybe injuries in the past, things like that. So we've got to really think through all of those different aspects when we're laying out the entire program. Good, and even you see he has a hip shift, but the big thing here is he's doing a good job controlling on the eccentric. That's what I really want out of these is like, can he control that as well as possible? Okay. And it's an interesting movement. Let's do one more set here. It's an interesting movement where I almost like to think about you want to show off, like I know this sounds sort of weird, but you want to show off like a chicken shows off their chest, right? They puff their chest out, a rooster. So I want that to happen on the way down to force hip extension. And then you want to think about almost like through the head, through the traps is how you're leading back up to try to keep that extended as much as possible from the pivot point, which is at the knee. Okay, so that's sort of like that's like a visual that I have that no one else on the planet might have. So that might be totally worthless to you if you're watching it right now, but it was helpful for me. One more of each, and then we're gonna do one ab exercise. Good. It's actually interesting too, just looking at Eden's calves. I was thinking this yesterday when Jaden was running. Seeing the calves fire relative to the hamstrings, you could put those back, Eden, and we'll do the ab exercise over there. Seeing the calves fire when he's doing the hamstring movements is one thing, and then when you're watching the ankle and the calf fire when someone's doing like a pogo hop or pogo jump, something like that, which we do a lot of on an athlete day, what they do on Wednesday or Thursday when they're doing their acceleration work. It's interesting to see the different types of calves. Eden's are a little bit more gastroc based, which is why he can produce a lot more power. When you have someone who's more soleus based, that's somebody like you would see like a 400 runner, a 100-meter runner. They'll have a higher top end usually, but maybe not be as good at acceleration. And that's just that's one thing I think of note to keep in mind too when you're writing someone's training program. Okay, we'll go, give me a 5, and we're gonna go like past the plate where the plate will be on your shins. You do a V up and then you bring it into your hands. Oh God, I don't wanna do this because I'm old and... Okay, so he's gonna go like this. Okay, so he tries to go here, grab.
He still could do it.
Yo, fuck you. Yo, you gotta see if you have 25. So we'll go like, yeah, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You gotta keep hammering these. So I'm not like, I would rather him do heavy front squats, heavy cleans, than to isolate the abs, but I do think there's benefit to doing this. I will say that, especially when it's linked in with the hips. When it's linked in with the hips, I do think there's big benefit there. I've been playing around lately too with reverse Thomas stretch, which is interesting. See if you give me like, I have no idea how many this is, like 5. Okay.
More?
Yeah. Okay, good. So we'll rest about a minute and then we'll hit this again and then he'll be done with that. So that's the other thing. If nothing else, you want an ab exercise that you can do in 5 minutes and just get slaughtered and you'll feel it tomorrow, this is perfect. It's past the plate. It's like one of the mainstays inside peak strength. And I do think, especially if you're someone who has to post up on somebody here as you come off the edge, or even jumping up for a ball, and if you're a defender, right, and you have to jump up for the ball and when you land to be stable, I do think there's some benefit to doing direct ab exercises, but I think the bigger benefit is more so from a single leg or from a clean, because you tend to compress a little bit and you stay a little bit more upright then, so you're using more of the hips and more of the posterior chain along with the trunk, along with the abs. But I still think there's some benefit. I also think it's important when an athlete, a lot of athletes want to just feel their abs a little bit. You know, they just want that mental aspect of it, the edge of feeling, all right, I don't feel soft in my abs, and that's okay. Okay, Eden. I guess later today I gotta make Jaden and Jason them do cleans.
Yeah, they got to.
Yeah. You might as well just do the whole workout that you just did.
Get your little peak strength on.
Oh, yeah. How many is that?
3, 4.
Okay, perfect. So this is a whole peak strength workout. You guys can use this today. Click the first link in the description. You can head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. If you want more workouts like this that are football related, click on this card right here, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace. You're cramping. Yo, you cramping on there? Yo, he's going to be putting his seatbelt on. Cramping.